So, what happens when the very person chosen to protect a family's inheritance becomes its biggest threat? Today, we're diving into that exact scenario, the fight for justice when an estate's administrator goes rogue, and how the law can and does step in to protect the rightful heirs.
I mean, really think about that for a second. A grieving family puts all their trust in one person to manage everything their loved one left behind. But then, that trust is completely shattered. When the guardian becomes the thief, what can you actually do? Well, it turns out there are powerful legal tools to fight back. Okay, first, let's get a couple of key terms down. To legally manage an estate, you need something called probate, or letters of administration from a court. You can just think of these as the official keys to the kingdom. They give someone the legal power to get into bank accounts, manage property, and hand out the assets.
Now, to see how this all plays out in the real world, let's get into the story of the Kwesi family. Their story is honestly a textbook case of betrayal, but it's also a fantastic example of how the law is designed to step in and make things right.
So, meet the family. After Joel Kwesi passed away, his widow, Zabu, and their 3 children, Martha, Happy, and Christian, put their complete faith in Joel's stepson, Samuel Mulimba, to manage the estate. They handed him the keys, trusting that he would protect their family's future.
Yeah, that trust, it was seriously misplaced. It didn't take long at all for Zabafu to realize something was going terribly, terribly wrong. Samuel wasn't acting like a protector of the family's legacy. No, he was actively tearing it apart for his own benefit. And this is exactly where the law provides a crucial safety net. See, you can't just remove an administrator because you don't like them. The law is very specific. It requires concrete reasons or grounds to revoke their power. And as we're about to see, Samuel's actions basically ticked every single box. In the Kwesi case, Samuel's betrayal really fell into 4 main categories, and they're all serious. We're talking about outright fraud, deliberately hiding the truth, completely mismanaging the assets, and then just failing to account for any of the money. All right, let's start with the first one, fraud. In legal terms, this just means getting those keys to the estate by telling a lie. Not just any lie, but a really significant one that changes everything. And Samuel's, oh yeah, his was a whop. Just look at this. This is the direct evidence of his fraud. In the official paperwork he filed with the court, Samuel claimed, in writing, that he was the sole surviving relative. With that single sentence, that one lie, he literally erased a widow and 3 children from existence in the eyes of the law. And that leads directly to the second ground, concealment. So it wasn't just what he said, it was what he didn't say. By deliberately hiding the existence of Zaboa and the kids, he made sure the court would grant him total, unopposed control. It was a lie of both commission and omission. So once he had the keys, Samuel moved right on to mismanagement. You know, an administrator has what's called a fiduciary duty. It's a fancy term, but it just means they have a legal duty to protect and carefully manage the estate. Samuel, well, he did the exact opposite. And his mismanagement wasn't just a one-time mistake. It was a pattern. First, he started illegally selling off pieces of land that belonged to the estate. Then he got even bolder and fraudulently transferred a whole other property directly into his own name. And on top of that, just out of pure negligence, he stopped paying for security at a family business site, leaving it wide open. The consequences of that negligence were absolutely devastating. Because there was no security, equipment worth 53 million Ugandan shillings got stolen. Now, this wasn't just any equipment. It was for a fruit juice project that was supposed to support the family for years to come. This wasn't just mismanagement. This was the destruction of their future. And finally, there was a total failure to account for anything. An administrator has to file an inventory of assets and track all the money coming in and going out. Samuel did none of that. He was collecting rent from estate properties and just pocketing it, keeping it all off the books, operating in total darkness. So you have to ask, faced with this massive betrayal, what could Zabu possibly do? Well, thankfully, the law provides a very clear step-by-step process for beneficiaries to fight back and hold a rogue administrator accountable. It all starts by filing a formal complaint in court, which is exactly what Zabu did. Then you present your evidence. You show the judge the false court documents, the illegal land titles, the proof of theft. The judge hears the case and then finally makes a ruling. It's a structured, logical path to getting justice. And when that court rules in the beneficiary's favor,
Wow. The consequences for the fraudulent administrator are immediate and they are massive. It creates a whole new reality for the family. The very first thing that happens is that the administrator's power is just gone. The letters of administration are officially revoked. The court effectively takes back the keys, and just like that, Samuel is stripped of all legal authority. He can't touch another thing. Next, and this is huge, the court can actually reverse the damage. Those illegal land sales? Canceled. The fraudulent property titles in his name? Wiped out. The court has the power to order that all that property be returned to its rightful place, back inside the estate to be held for the real beneficiaries. And finally, the court appoints a new, trustworthy administrator. In the Kwesi family's case, that authority was granted to the widow, Za, someone who obviously has a deep, personal interest in protecting that legacy for her children. Justice is served. I mean, the turnaround here is just night and day. Before the revocation, you had a fraudulent administrator, assets being sold off, and beneficiaries whose rights were completely ignored. After, you have a trustworthy administrator, the assets are recovered and protected, and the family's rights are fully restored. It's a complete legal and moral reset. So why is this all so important? Well, the power to revoke an administrator's authority isn't just about punishing the bad guy. It's about fulfilling the most fundamental purpose of succession law itself. There's a core legal principle that really captures the whole point of these laws. It says the court's main objective is always the due and proper administration of the estate for the people who are supposed to benefit from it. In other words, protecting the beneficiaries. That is always the number one goal. So in the end, yeah, the law provides this incredibly powerful safety net. But here's the thing. It's not automatic. It takes the courage and the strength of beneficiaries, people like Saibu, to stand up and actually use these tools. They are the ones who ultimately have to hold the protectors accountable when trust is broken.